New immigration crackdowns are leading to scenes like this. Videos are popping up showing federal agents making arrests. The Department of Homeland Security says it's aimed at getting criminals off the streets, while some communities and neighborhoods say the sweeps are causing fear. Hello, I'm Stephanie Simmons with what's happening in the news now. The Department of Homeland Security launched 2 new operations in New Orleans and Minnesota this week. In New Orleans, officials launched Operation Catahoula Crunch on Wednesday. The Trump administration said it targets undocumented immigrants accused of serious crimes who were previously released from jail. In Minnesota, the ICE operation in the cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul focused primarily on undocumented Somali immigrants, according to a federal official. Homeland Security has arrested at least a dozen people during the operation in the Twin Cities. Nearly half of those detained are originally from Somalia. The wife of one of the men arrested is pushing back on the agency's claims that he's an active gang member. Danny Spiewak spoke with her.
Homeland Security's list of arrests includes one Somali refugee who has been challenging deportation efforts since President Trump's first term. His criminal history is no secret, but his wife told me in a phone conversation today that she's going to keep fighting to keep him here.
Rhoda Christensen says she learned from a neighbor on Monday that her husband, Abdul Qadir Sharif Abdi, had been detained.
I'm driving on the road, and she goes, "Hey, Rhoda, ICE is in your apartment." And I was silent for a minute.
After going to Fort Snelling first for processing, Christensen says her husband is now in a detention facility in Nebraska.
He's devastated. He's just a simple guy that loves his home.
Abdi's story has been documented extensively by local media over the years. A Somali refugee who fled civil war in the 90s, he committed several felonies while part of a Minneapolis gang, but was said to have turned his life around after getting sober and becoming a mentor in the recovery community. In 2018, his lawyers successfully lobbied against his deportation, but this week ICE described him as a, quote, known current member of Vice Lord Nation with convictions of fraud, receiving stolen property, receiving a stolen vehicle, vehicle theft, and multiple probation violations.
He's not a current gang member. We've been married for 11 years. Has he ever been in trouble? No. Has he always checked in with ICE? Yes.
Homeland Security says that Abdi is one of 12 people arrested during ICE's Operation Metro Surge, describing all as being here illegally with criminal histories ranging from child sex abuse to domestic assault. Homeland Security won't say whether that operation is still ongoing.
But more people are looking out the windows. They're checking to see, unmarked cars.
Jaylani Hussein with the Council on American Islamic Relations says the 5 Somalis on ICE's list represent a tiny fraction of the 80,000 Somalis living in Minnesota.
They're spinning their wheels because they've actually come to a community that is overwhelmingly U.S. citizens.
We asked Homeland Security today if ICE detained anybody else besides the 12 people listed in their press release, but they have not told us how many total arrests ICE has made this week in the Twin Cities.
The Trump administration says they are targeting people here illegally, not based on race or ethnicity. But many Somalis feel differently, especially after the president's recent comments during a cabinet meeting where he directly criticized Somalia and its people.
They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country.
Minnesota is home to the country's largest Somali population. The Council on American Islamic Relations estimates that the vast majority of the 80,000 Somali immigrants in the state are either citizens or have a pathway to citizenship. It puts the number of undocumented residents somewhere in the hundreds. Somalis in Minnesota and across the country are reacting to the president's comments. Lou Ragus spoke with an 18-year-old Somali American who wanted to share her concerns about the rhetoric.
Hatred is very exhausting, too.
Hurtful is one word Bushra Mohammed uses to describe the comments made by President Donald Trump about Minnesota's Somali community.
It is hurtful to be called garbage. I am, again, a United States citizen. I am Somali, so I wonder if to him and his party, if that is all I am to him, a garbage,
Bushra was born in the U.S. and is a freshman at the U of M. Despite being a U.S. citizen, she feels anxiety in public about potentially coming face-to-face with an ICE agent.
It's that act of looking over my shoulder, which pains me because I am a United States citizen. This is my home, and I don't want to feel unsafe in my home. It's harassment disguised as law enforcement.
Are people afraid to leave their homes right now?
They are afraid. Yeah, I've heard of people carrying extra identification on them, like passports.
But Bushra wonders if fear is the point. The vast majority of Somalis in Minnesota are citizens or have legal status. Community advocates estimate the actual number of undocumented Somalis to be just in the hundreds.
I think there's a lot of fear right now and a lot of confusion, because it has been said multiple times that a lot of us are United States citizens. So the elders in our community are confused, and they're scared for their children, and they just want some type of hope and understanding of the situation.
Despite the climate feeling as tense as it ever has for Somalis in Minnesota, Bushra has hope it will improve.
But I want people outside of the Somali community to know that we aren't a threat to you guys. We're your neighbors, we're friends, we're coworkers, and I have faith in Minnesota, like I do have faith in the United States, and this is like a bump in the road that we will overcome eventually.
The presence of ICE in the Twin Cities has many in the community on edge, and that includes one Minneapolis restaurant. The owner says they had their first ICE encounter since opening more than a decade ago. Rhea Cantaney has more.
For over a decade.
Yeah, I've been holding down the corner of 35th and Nicollet for a while now.
The team at this South Minneapolis restaurant has survived bitter cold days like this one. But never have they had ICE agents at their front door until this week.
Yeah, definitely our first ICE encounter.
Since the Trump administration deployed more federal agents to the Twin Cities, Ola Arepa owner Christina Nguyen says she believes ICE arbitrarily targeted her restaurant twice this week.
I have no idea. Maybe because we have a Spanish name.
This Ring camera footage shows what she says neighbors confirmed as ICE agents in unmarked cars in her parking lot on Tuesday while the business was closed. Then 2 agents made their way into the restaurant on Wednesday around dinner time.
I had asked them if they had a judicial warrant, and they said we don't need one. I said, yes, you do.
General Manager Naomi Rathke says she was going over ICE protocols with other employees to ensure they knew their rights when the agents walked in. She asked them to leave because they did not have a signed warrant, which she knew they're required to have inside a private business.
They don't have power over me. They don't have power over us. So I'm not scared of them, honestly.
Very brave, seriously brave to not crumble under that pressure.
According to Christina, the agents said they're searching for a woman whose photo they had on their phone, but she says that woman does not work here.
It wasn't anybody who works for us at all, but, possibly to them, everybody looks the same. I don't know.
Employees then captured this video of the agents leaving and turning the wrong way on a one-way street.
They were lucky because usually that street is incredibly busy, especially during rush hour.
Christina says even though some of her employees are still shaken by what happened,
people who are here completely lawfully are just afraid.
She believes there's power in knowledge and hopes others take the time to understand their rights.
We just all have to stay strong together and be in solidarity with each other.
In Minneapolis, Rhea Cantaney, KARE 11 News.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey signed an executive order prohibiting agents from using any city-owned parking lots, ramps, garages, or vacant lots for immigration operations. The Minneapolis police chief says the mayor's order will be enforced by the city, but local police do not have the authority to get in the way of federal agents.
It would be unlawful for us to obstruct federal law enforcement enforcing federal law. For me, the most difficult part of living through this is being here with people in the community and, seeing just how terrified people are. And it's very disturbing.
The mayor also directed his staff to create signs for private business owners who want to mark their property as off limits for these activities. Leaders from several different faiths are showing their support for Somali Americans. Here's Sammy Solina with more.
We shall overcome.
2 different gatherings
Stand for justice, safety, and humanity.
With a similar purpose, to stand with Somali neighbors after the Trump administration targeted them with harsh words and renewed attention in immigration enforcement.
The Lord is already
working out the prayers.
Shaletta Brundage, activist and media personality, brought in faith leaders for prayers in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood.
And give him the solutions, Lord, to what this city needs.
They prayed over Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara.
We'll walk hand in hand.
And asked for protection of those impacted by the president's words.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Meanwhile, in the Lindale neighborhood, multi-faith leaders preached that all people have more in common than they are different.
No human being is garbage. Yeah, that's right. No human being is garbage, Mr. President, and shame on you for saying so.
From a Lutheran church to a mosque.
And communities living in constant fear.
To a synagogue.
We know that when a few people commit crimes, it does not implicate an entire community. Right. And to say so is racist, xenophobic, and just wrong.
Different religions here because they believe in the same thing.
What you see is a visual representation of we have your back, and when you come for one of us, you come for all of us.
These new operations follow immigration crackdowns in several other Democratic-led cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, Memphis, and most recently, Charlotte, North Carolina. Videos are popping up online of arrests made in New Orleans. We hear from the woman seen in this clip. She says federal agents chased her even though she's a U.S. citizen. This video is getting a lot of attention as the Department of Homeland Security continues its immigration operation in New Orleans. A woman says she was chased by masked agents while walking home. The 22-year-old was born and raised in the U.S. She says she feared that she was being kidnapped. Whitney Miller has her story.
The woman at the center of this says she was just steps away from her home when agents in an unmarked car hopped out and came toward her. This is the walkway she was on, and it was all captured on her home's surveillance camera. Leave me alone! Home surveillance video captures the moment 22-year-old Jacelyn Guzman sprints toward her Marrero home, shouting that she's a U.S. citizen as masked men run after her. Guzman says she had just walked back from the corner store when an SUV pulled up.
I immediately started telling him, like, I'm born and raised here, like, I'm a U.S. citizen, and he did not care at all.
Moments later, a second unmarked vehicle pulled up, and more men in tactical gear jumped out.
Because I didn't know if I should run or not. I was scared. But then another car pulled up, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm out here.
Inside the home was her baby daughter and her stepfather, who heard her screaming and ran outside.
Hispanic people against Hispanic bro.
Confronting the men and ordering them off the property.
Screaming is the worst feeling ever because I thought she really was like somebody want to hurt her, you know?
Guzman believes the agents singled her out because of her appearance.
Here, they're just like racially profiling all POC, people of color, you know? And it's entirely wrong because they think that they are superior than us. And the man that was chasing me, he was Hispanic. So it's a little like, you know?
She believes she was being abducted, not approached by law enforcement.
I was about to get kidnapped. I was like, oh my God, they're about to take me. Like, but they actually hopped out and did try to take me.
Moments later, she grabbed her baby and went back outside, this time demanding answers, but says the agents never explained why they targeted her.
I have no idea. I'm brown.
Customs and Border Protection confirms hundreds of agents were deployed across the West Bank this week as a part of a large immigration enforcement operation, one they say was aimed at violent offenders. But immigrant advocates and several residents we've spoken with report many of the people being stopped or detained are day laborers and tradesmen. Guzman says the fear hasn't faded, and she worries about others in her community.
It's devastating. It really is. It's hard to talk about, too, because, like, it makes me scared for my family as well.
Immigration authorities arrived in New Orleans this week. Officials say they intend to arrest up to 5,000 people. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says agents will remove the, quote, worst of the worst, blaming the city's sanctuary policies for the increase in enforcement. Our station in New Orleans says about 250 agents are in the area conducting this operation. It was welcomed by the state's governor. So far, the agents have detained immigrant workers at various sites, including store parking lots. Many of them appear to be day workers. Paul Murphy has the details.
Border patrol aquí, border patrol.
Federal Border Patrol agents fanned out across the metro area in teams, hitting sites where immigrant day laborers gather. They rolled up in mostly unmarked vehicles at the Lowe's Home Improvement Store on Elysian Fields in New Orleans just after 8 Wednesday morning. Neighborhood volunteer Jebney Lewis arrived just after the raid.
Law enforcement officers arrived and detained between 12 and 13 people. Mostly folks who are day laborers who are looking for work here at the Lowe's.
Lewis says those detained left behind personal property in the parking lot.
Vehicles, some trucks, some bikes, tools. So we're trying to get all of that stuff back into the hands of their families so they don't lose their possessions.
Immigration agents also conducted operations at the Home Depot in LaPlace and Gretna and other sites across the region. They also converged on a construction site in the University subdivision in Kenner. We're told they detained workers at each location. Back at Lowe's in New Orleans, painting contractor Torrin Washington, who has hired day laborers in the past, said those now being held are hardworking, skilled tradesmen.
These guys is a good workforce, and a lot of them have good skills. And I don't know if a lot of people understand, after Katrina, if it wasn't for the Hispanics, this place would be in shambles because they was doing all of the roofing work.
A fiery protest briefly disrupted a New Orleans City Council meeting on Thursday night. The demonstrators demanded that the city refuse to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement and demanded more action against the operation. Some businesses are also taking a stand outside Toast, a restaurant in the Big Easy. There's a handwritten note that says, quote, "Ask about ice whistles to keep your community safe." Whistles have been used in other cities where raids have been held to sound a warning for people who want to avoid ICE officials. Another restaurant, Taquilla Guerrero, has kept its doors closed for the past few days. Workers there say that's being done in order to protect the community. The immigration sweeps are erupting into public view across New Orleans, leaving families, workers, and witnesses stunned. According to the federal government, it's aimed at public safety. Mike McDaniel looks at the enforcement actions and what we've learned and still don't know about who's being targeted.
With scenes like this playing out around New Orleans, there are plenty of questions about who is being targeted for immigration enforcement, like workers who were on a roof in Kenner Wednesday, which left the homeowner shaken.
If they're not committing crimes, let them be. I don't get it. These people were working for a living. You know, when you pull them off of a roof in the middle of work.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posted on social media, the men and women of DHS law enforcement will remove the worst of the worst from New Orleans after the city's sanctuary politicians have ignored the rule of law. Thursday, DHS released photos of nearly a dozen people it calls the worst of the worst. It's still unclear whether everyone being detained fits that description. WWL Louisiana has repeatedly asked for criminal records and detention details, but federal authorities haven't released them.
Those should be swept up and sent back. And that's where I think the focus should be.
While he didn't have any numbers, Senator Bill Cassidy agrees violent offenders should be targeted.
I want it ideally to be focused on those people because that's where the bang for the buck is in terms of protecting our country, our state, our cities, and our streets from a criminal element.
With National Guardsmen also expected in the city soon, Congressman Troy Carter says it all sends the wrong message.
Having them and or ICE officers attempt to, or our Border Patrol officers attempt to enforce municipal laws or to patrol streets potentially is a recipe for disaster.
Mike McDaniel, WWL, Louisiana.
In addition to the federal immigration agents, Louisiana's governor says he expects National Guard members to arrive in the state before Christmas. Troops are expected to deploy across Louisiana and in New Orleans to help tackle crime. Well, that does it for us today. We will continue to track updates on these operations and bring you the very latest. For now, I'm Stephanie Simmons. Thanks for watching.